And we're back on day 88. It's sprinkling right now. I think the storm has passed us. When I chose the campsite, I saw that it had a low point where I put my tent. It was not the entire tent that had a low point. It was just like the center and the end of it. Everything else has a high point. So my electronics are safe. They're on a high point. However, because the rain came so quickly, it couldn't get absorbed by the ground, and therefore it just ran like a river. So my tent's not in an extremely low point. Like if the rain had come slower and the ground could have absorbed the water, I would have been fine. Because it came so quickly, and because the ground looks like it just snowed, so it was rain and hail at the same time. A river formed on that side of my tent, the door side, and it flowed right to the low point. So the floor of my tent in the middle is now wet. And at the very end down here, there's another small low point, and it is also wet. Mostly because the river just kept flowing. The river kept flowing underneath my, between my footprint and my tent. And so it actually went up and over a little bit of a high point down to the lower corner. So that means I'm gonna have a wet floor. So I will, it's 8:30. I don't have time to undo my tent and try to dry it. So I'll just have to put my sleeping pad on top and store my clothes on the dry side. Make sure my electronics stay on the high side in case another storm comes. And then tomorrow I'll just have to dry my sleeping pad and my footprint in my tent. So when I set up my tent, it was sunny. It's been sunny all day. We've had some clouds, but over my head, like where the CDT is and where the hikers were hiking, we were fine. The rain was staying in the distance. And suddenly, this is one of those clouds that's below the rest of the clouds that gets pushed by the wind. And it has rain and thunder and lightning. Like the lightning show with this storm was impressive. The thunder was loud because it came right over my head. And the wind changed and suddenly the storm came. It came back. It was east and it came back to the west. So life on the CDT. What I was saying earlier was, man, everything's wet. I just got to make sure electronics and like stuff like protein powder stays away from the wet. So I hiked into South Pass City. It took about 12 miles this morning. I got there around, I think 11:30 or 11:45. The store doesn't open till 10, so I slept in a little bit and started hiking a little bit later. So I got on trail around 7. I got to South Pass City, went through the resupply real quick. I was only there for an hour and 15 minutes. Got back on trail and hiked another, I think around 12 miles or so. This afternoon. So I realized I made a mistake on my resupply. I know I kind of talked back around like Silverthorne where I put too many miles within, like I put too much food and too many miles together with too much elevation, and it was just a bad recipe. So that wasn't really as much a mistake as it was just an oversight of like, hey, what are you trying to do? Kill yourself. This is an honest to goodness mistake. And I think it's the first mistake I've made with my resupply. So in order to double check everything, I made 2 lists. One was my resupply list with mileage and number of days for food. It was just total mileage. And then the second list was my daily hiking, itinerary, schedule, that kind of stuff. Sorry, let me check one thing here. The hail's not going to melt because it's too cold. We're up around 9,000. We're a little bit less than 9,000, but that's not going to melt tonight, I don't think. So I got to finish cooking and that stuff. Oh, storm. So the mistake I made was the food to mileage was just fine. So the amount of food is not a problem. The mistake I made was on the other side where I was looking at my mileage per day. And I believe there was an error in one of my formulas because I used Excel, because finance nerd. And basically I tried to say that I was going to hike approximately, I think it was like something around 180 or 200 miles from South Pass City to a place called Brooks Lake Lodge to pick up a resupply right before you get to Yellowstone. That's an oversight. There should have been another town stop in there. So a few days ago in the video, I mentioned, like, I can't believe we're in Wyoming. It's only 4 resupplies, and that 4 resupplies didn't sit with me well. So I thought to myself, that can't be right. And what I did is I went back and looked at the figures, and I saw that it wasn't right. I should have had 5 resupplies. The first resupply, like to Rollins and Rollins to South Pass, they were a little bit aggressive on mileage and the amount of food I had, but that was okay because it was across the Great Basin. We're no longer in the Great Basin. We're going to be going up and down some elevation, and we're getting into the winds. So there should have been a 5th resupply, which is Pinedale. However, I omitted it when I was creating my boxes. And so what essentially happened was, instead of having 1 box go to South Pass City, 1 box go to Pinedale, and 1 box go to Brooks Lake Lodge, I have 2 boxes that got sent to South Pass City. Nothing got sent to Pinedale originally. Emily and Zach, who were sending me my resupply, I asked them to send a box that was supposed to go to Brooks Lake Lodge to Pinedale so I could fix this issue. I also needed to, I'm going to have to adjust my Yellowstone permit for my camping of like when I'm actually going to be there. So I just had Emily and Zach send the box to Pinedale. I'm carrying 7 days of food for a 4-day hike. And once I get to Pinedale, I'll sort out 2 resupplies. 1 will be from Pinedale to Brooks, and I'll carry it. And then I'll send a box to Brooks Lake Lodge for the other days, so I'm not carrying 7 days again, or whatever it ends up being. I'm halfway through Wyoming, and this is the first like real mistake on resupply, so I'm not gonna beat myself up about it. It's just hiking with 7 days of food. It's extremely heavy pack. The most I've had so far is 5.5 days of food, I believe. And I told myself like that, this is the most I want to carry. And now I'm a day and a half over that. So, man, the floor of my tent is soaked. So essentially, after I resupplied at South Pass City, I likely should have been able to get another like 15 miles in, and I ended up getting about 12. Just because I'm hiking a little bit slower since we are starting to climb up elevation. Like we got up to 9,300 feet, and in the basin we have been hiking around somewhere between like 7,000 and 8,000 feet. So oops, I made a mistake. Now I got to carry extra food into Pinedale, and that's unfortunate. Stuff is still not melting. So man, it's heavy pack. Today was a heavy pack. Like the second half of today was a heavy pack. Also, my understanding of the Great Basin was, pretty flat hiking, wide open spaces, all that kind of stuff. And for the first 12 miles today, to end the basin, that's what I had. As soon as I got out of South Pass City and hiked a few miles, everything changed. I'm in forests again. Water, like the running water, whether it's streams, creeks, whatever, is coming like every couple miles instead of every 10 miles, or 6 to 10 miles. So the water is plentiful, at least so far. We're doing elevation, like I said. I think South Pass City, climbing out of that up to 9,300. I think South Pass City is in the low 8s, maybe high 7s. So we had like 1,000 feet elevation gain, I believe. I'd have to look that up to verify it. So essentially, I believe the Great Basin's finished. Either that or we're making a pretty quick transition back into forests and plentiful water and elevation ascending and descending. I don't think there's anything else about today. I'll post both of these videos. You'll get the frantic one, and then you'll get the, hey, the storm has passed. Now I need to cook dinner, stretch, finish my water, set up my tent with the wet floor, and get some sleep. So I got a lot to do, so I'm gonna jet so I can get it finished because it's already 8:45. I'm in trouble. It's gonna be a late night. So I think that's it for day 88. The hiking, the storm. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna let you all go. I hope everyone's safe. Hope everyone's dry, not sleeping in a puddle. I hope your bed is not in a low point. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you folks tomorrow. Bye.